Have you ever had the feeling that your cat comes back to you very gently right after doing something that upset you? Maybe it knocked over your glass, scratched your hand during rough play, or ran off after you raised your voice. But then, a little while later, it comes back. Not loudly, not dramatically. Just a slow blink, a soft rub against your leg, or it quietly settles down near you, as if it is trying to make the moment feel calm again. A lot of people would call that a coincidence. But sometimes, those tiny actions mean far more than we realize. Cats do not apologize with words, and they cannot explain their feelings the way humans do. But that does not mean they do not sense tension between the two of you. In fact, research suggests cats are much more sensitive to our eyes, our voices, our attention, and our emotional state than most people think. So when your cat suddenly becomes softer after a difficult moment, it may not just be returning to normal. It may be trying to find its way back to you. In this video, we are going to look at 7 subtle signs that your cat may be trying to make peace in its own way, and more importantly, how you should respond so you do not accidentally weaken the bond it is trying to repair. If you have ever thought of cats as the kind of animals that do something wrong and then act as if nothing happened, this part may change the way you see them. Because sometimes, behind a softened look, a careful bit of distance, a quiet little meow, or the way your cat follows you from one room to another, there is more than instinct at work. Sometimes, your cat is not ignoring the tension at all. It may be trying to calm itself, read your mood again, and slowly return to the sense of safety it shares with you. That is what makes this so easy to miss. Cats rarely repair a bond in a loud or obvious way. They do it quietly. They do it with timing, with space, with small choices that can look ordinary unless you know what to watch for. So in this video, we are going to walk through each sign one by one. And the deeper we go, the clearer one truth becomes. A cat may never say the words, "I am sorry," but it can absolutely show you that it wants peace again. The first sign, and maybe the gentlest of all, is the slow blink. You have probably seen it before. After a tense moment, your cat looks at you, narrows its eyes just a little, and then blinks slowly, almost as if the whole room is starting to soften. It is such a small gesture that many people overlook it, but it is not random. A 2020 study published in Scientific Reports found that cats were more likely to engage in slow blink sequences during positive interactions with humans. The same study also found that cats responded more positively when humans slow blinked back at them. In other words, this is not just a cute expression. It is part of a calm, non-threatening social exchange. That is what makes this moment so meaningful after tension. Your cat is not rushing in. It is not demanding contact. It is offering something much quieter. A signal that says, "I am not here to fight. I want this to feel safe again." And maybe that is why the slow blink feels so moving when you really notice it. It is soft. It is cautious. It asks for nothing, and yet it says so much. So if your cat gives you that slow blink after an uncomfortable moment, do not reach out too fast. Do not turn it into something intense. Soften your face. Blink slowly back. Let your cat feel that the space between you has become gentle again. Sometimes, that tiny exchange is the first step back to trust. The second sign is even easier to miss, because it can look like ordinary affection. Your cat comes back, brushes against your leg, presses its face into your hand, or glides along your body for just a moment, and then moves away again. But this is not always just a request for attention. For cats, rubbing is deeply tied to familiarity. It is one of the ways they share scent, mark social comfort, and reinforce the feeling that someone belongs in their safe world. So after a tense moment, That small gesture can mean much more than it seems. Your cat may be trying to bring the relationship back to something known, something settled, something that feels like home again. That is why this moment matters. A cat that rubs against you after a bit of conflict is not returning with a dramatic apology. It is doing something quieter and, in its own way, more honest. It is rebuilding closeness through the language it trusts most: contact, scent, nearness. And there is something very tender about that. Your cat is not asking you to forget what happened. It is asking whether the bond still feels familiar. So if your cat comes back and rubs against you after an uneasy moment, try not to interrupt it with too much energy. Do not grab. Do not overreact. Stay still. Relax your body. Let the contact happen at your cat's pace. Sometimes the most loving answer is simply to allow the moment to stay soft. The third sign is quieter than the others, and that is exactly why so many people miss it. Sometimes your cat does not come back with a rub, or a blink, or any clear attempt to make contact. Sometimes it just chooses to be near you. It settles at the edge of the bed. It takes the far corner of the couch. It walks into the same room and stays there without asking for anything more. At first, that can seem like nothing, but it is often not nothing at all. A 2019 study published in Current Biology found that many cats show secure attachment to their human caregivers in ways that resemble the attachment patterns seen in children and dogs. In that study, around 65 to nearly 69% of cats were classified as securely attached. That matters because secure attachment is not only about seeking comfort, it is also about returning to a trusted presence after stress. So when your cat chooses to remain near you, even without touching you, it may be doing something deeply meaningful. It is saying, in the most careful way it can, that your presence still matters. That even after tension, it would rather be close than be alone. It just needs a little room to feel safe while getting there. And honestly, that kind of return can be one of the most moving of all. Not dramatic, not demanding, just quiet trust, showing up again. So if your cat comes back and stays nearby without moving closer, let that be enough. Do not pull it in. Do not rush the moment. Sometimes the most respectful thing you can do is accept the distance and understand that, for your cat, staying close at all is already a form of courage. If this is helping you see your cat in a new way, take a moment to like the video and subscribe. Because by the end, we are going to get to the part that matters most. Why even a very small reaction from you can decide whether your cat feels safe enough to come back again after tension. The fourth sign is a little more active, and that is what makes it so revealing. After an uncomfortable moment, some cats do not just stay nearby. They start following you. You walk into the kitchen, and there they are. You head down the hallway, and a few seconds later, you hear soft paws behind you. You sit down somewhere else, and somehow your cat ends up there too. This is different from simply choosing the same room. This is movement with intention. Research suggests that cats are more tuned in to human social cues than many people assume. They can respond to our attention, notice where our focus is directed, and even distinguish their owner's voice from that of a stranger. So when your cat begins trailing behind you after tension, it may not be random clinginess at all. It may be your cat quietly checking the emotional weather around you. In a way, your cat may be asking the same question over and over without making a sound. Are you calm now? Is it safe to come closer? Are we all right again? And that is why this behavior can feel so touching once you recognize it. Your cat is not just being curious about where you are going. It may be trying to stay connected long enough to see whether the bond still feels steady. So if your cat starts following you after a difficult moment, try to slow the atmosphere down instead of shutting it down. Move gently. Speak softly. Let your cat keep that small thread of contact. Sometimes, simply allowing your cat to walk beside your life again is how trust begins to settle back into place. The fifth sign is sound. Not every meow means the same thing, and cat owners usually learn that without anyone ever teaching them. There is the meow for food, the meow for attention, the sharper sound of frustration. But after tension, some cats make a very different kind of noise. It is shorter, softer, less demanding, almost as if they are testing the space between you before stepping fully back into it. What matters here is not just the sound itself, but the timing. A 2013 study found that cats can recognize their owner's voice even when they cannot see them. That tells us something important. Cats are paying attention to the emotional channel carried by sound. They know our voices. They notice tone, and they may use their own voices carefully in return. So when your cat approaches with relaxed eyes, a loose body, and a quiet little meow after an uneasy moment, that may be its way of reopening the conversation. Not with confidence, not with a big demand, just a small signal that says, "I am here. Are you ready to hear me again?" And that is why your response matters so much. If you answer with too much energy, too much grabbing, or too much emotion, the moment can close just as quickly as it opened. But if you reply with a soft, steady voice, you give your cat something it can trust. A calm answer to a careful question. Sometimes peace does not begin with touch. Sometimes it begins with a voice. The sixth sign may be the most surprising of all, because it does not look like an apology in the way people usually imagine one. Sometimes, after a small conflict, your cat brings a toy. It drops it near you. It paws at it. It looks at you, then at the toy, as if trying to draw you into something familiar. Other times, it simply becomes more playful than usual, inviting you back into a shared rhythm that feels lighter and safer than the moment that came before. That matters more than it seems. A 2023 study on fetching behavior in cats suggested that some cats do not just react to play. They help shape it. They initiate it. They guide it. That tells us that play is not always random energy. Sometimes it is social. Sometimes it is a way of rebuilding a good feeling between two individuals. So when your cat tries to start a game after tension, it may not be saying "I am sorry" in any human sense, but it may be doing something just as meaningful. It may be trying to replace uneasiness with something shared, familiar, and good, a different emotional atmosphere, a softer one. And in a way, that is very much like your cat saying, "Let us not stay in that moment. Let us be us again." So if your cat brings you a toy or invites play after a difficult moment, pay attention to its body first. If the tail is relaxed, the movements are loose, and the energy feels easy rather than frantic, a gentle play session may be exactly what your cat is hoping for. Sometimes, a few quiet minutes with a wand toy can restore warmth faster than any attempt to force affection. The seventh point is the one that changes the whole meaning of everything we have talked about. Because in the end, your cat is probably not trying to protect its pride. It is trying to protect the feeling of safety between the two of you. That is why all of these signs matter. The slow blink, the gentle rub, the careful choice to stay nearby, the soft meow, the quiet following, the invitation to play. None of these behaviors are really about winning, explaining, or proving anything. They are about return. They are about a cat testing whether it is still safe to come back into your emotional space. And that is what makes your response so important. If your cat reaches back toward you after tension and finds more anger, more rejection, or more pressure, It may learn that coming close after conflict is dangerous. But if it finds calm eyes, a softer voice, and the freedom to choose its own pace, then something beautiful happens. Your cat learns that tension does not always end in disconnection. It learns that closeness can survive difficult moments. And maybe that is the deepest form of trust any cat can offer. Not perfection, not obedience, just the decision to come back, even after something felt wrong. So when your cat returns in one of these quiet ways, try to see the courage inside it. Because what your cat may fear losing most is not control, and not the upper hand. It is you as a safe place. So how do cats apologize to humans? Probably not in the way we usually imagine an apology. A cat does not come back to say, "I was wrong." It does not have words to explain itself, or promises to make things better. Instead, it uses the language it actually has. Softer eyes, a body that moves closer again, a quieter voice, a patient presence, and sometimes a simple invitation to play, just to bring the two of you back to a gentler place. And maybe that is what makes it so beautiful. Because these gestures are small, easy to miss, easy to dismiss, but together, they reveal something that matters. Your cat is not indifferent to the bond between you. In its own quiet way, it may be doing the only thing it knows how to do after tension. It comes back softly. So the next time your cat does something that frustrates you, and then returns with that strange, careful gentleness, pause for a moment before brushing it off. Look a little closer, because what your cat may be asking for is not just forgiveness. It may be asking the most important question in its world. Am I still safe with you? If this video helped you understand your cat a little more deeply, subscribe to the channel and share your story in the comments. What does your cat do that makes you feel like it is trying to make peace?